Pollyanna of Lightspeed Sports Recovery. So we did a sort of gentle beginners Pilates session as our first video. We are doing our second one, which is going to have slightly more advanced moves than last time. Again, I haven't included warm-up or cool down, so you might want to add these, which will be done in separate videos as add-ons, as well as things like using spiky balls to really soft through certain areas of your body as well, which you might find useful. For this session, if you've got a mat, that's great. If you've got carpet, you can use that. You probably don't want to be on the hard surface because it'll be a little bit uncomfortable. You might also want a towel or a cushion of some sort to put underneath your knees if you find kneeling and things like that uncomfortable, as we will do a little bit of that today. So, starting off, all I want you to do is just lying on your mat. So, again, we'll just go through the basics, getting yourself ready in the lying down position. So you're going to have your feet together, you're going to take the toes out to make that V shape, and then you're going to bring the heels out so they're directly underneath your hips. Coming onto the hips, so you're just going to gently push that tailbone into the mat so you get that gentle arch through the lower back, and then tuck that tailbone under so you'll then flatten the back into the mat. And just keep moving through these extremes. And just do this a couple of times just to help loosen off through that lower back, especially as we've probably been sitting around a little bit more. Maybe you might be moving around the house quite a bit. If you've got a big enough garden, you've obviously been able to get out into that a little bit more. And then just from there, you're just going to find that nice neutral position that's comfortable for you. Coming onto your ribs, so you're going to gently melt the back of the ribs into the matting. You're going to lengthen through the collarbones by drawing the shoulder blades down and together. You're going to lengthen through that spine as though you've got that piece of rope pulling you to the wall behind, and gently tuck the chin in. Okay, from here, as I said, we're going to do slightly harder moves than what we did in the beginner session, so this would be roughly intermediate. I am actually going to show some probably more advanced things as well, so only try these if you've done them before or you feel comfortable doing them. We don't want you getting injured while we're going through this lockdown, because it'll put more strain on the NHS. But cross fingers, you'll keep it within what you can actually work with. So from there, we're going to start with something called scissors. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float one leg to tabletop. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and then float the other leg to tabletop. So this is double tabletop. Making sure we've got that 90-degree bend at the hip, 90 degrees at the knees. Especially making sure that we've basically sunk those ribs into the matting, and this helps stabilize through that lower back. From here, we're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to tap one foot down, and then inhale to bring it back up. Exhale to tap the other foot down, inhale to bring it back up. Making sure we put the whole foot down on the floor. During this whole process, you should be engaging the trans abs and pelvic floor, which I went over in my first video. And you're just going to draw in and up with the trans abs and then up with the pelvic floor. You want to make sure you're not doming through those upper abdominals. So you're trying to focus the engagement below the belly button. Remember to keep breathing. So you exhale as you put one foot down, inhale to bring it back up. Exhale to put that foot down, inhale to bring it back up. Just make sure you're not letting that hip bone flip up or that lower back to arch. So making sure those ribs are helping to control that lower back. You should start feeling it in the abdominals. And if you want to take it up a next level, and this is only if you feel comfortable, you're going to take one leg straight down, hovering it off the floor, the other one straight up towards the ceiling. You come up with the head and shoulders. You're going to pulse the legs 3 times and then switch. And switch. So it's 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. And just keep going with a few more of these, or go back to the ones that you were doing before. Making sure we keep the head and shoulders in the centre, that you're not pulsing the head and the shoulders, just those legs. Remember to keep breathing. Okay, one more on each side. Okay, bringing those legs back into double tabletop, taking one leg down and then the other leg. From there, just bringing the knees into your chest and just gently rolling side to side, just to ease off. Okay, and then from there, just bringing one leg back down and then the other. So the next one we're going to go on to is a double leg stretch. So you're going to use the arms and legs for this. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to take one leg to tabletop. Breathe in, exhale, and then take the other leg to tabletop. So again, making sure that we've got our ribs pinned down to the floor. You're then going to take your arms up towards the ceiling. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to extend that leg diagonally towards the ceiling. And at the same time, take the arms up overhead. And you're going to then bring the arms round in a D shape. And then inhale to bring that leg back up and point the hands back up. So it's exhale to take the other leg out. Bring those arms up and round. And then inhale to bring the arms back and the leg back to tabletop. So exhale to stretch the arms up. Inhale to bring them round and draw that leg back in. Make sure as we take the arms up that you're not letting the rib cage pop up. So we don't want that lower back to start arching. And just keep it nice and controlled. If you find this too much, just place one leg back down. And from there, stretching one leg, bring the arms round. And then inhale to bring them back in. And then place that foot down. Exhale to bring that leg up, taking the arms out, extending that leg, drawing it all back in, and then back down. So it's up to you which level you want to try. You can start with this easier one, and then progress onto the harder one. Or if you find that you do some of the harder one, you can then go back to this simpler one if you find you're getting too tired. So going back to the harder one, it's double tabletop, taking those arms up, extending that leg out, and then inhale to bring it back in. So exhale to take that arms up over the head, extend that leg, inhale to bring it back down. Okay, couple more of those. Okay, one more on each leg. And relaxing one leg down and then the other leg. So you've probably noticed working in double tabletop is actually going to work your abdominals quite a bit more compared to what the other class did previously. So from there, we're going to go into a hip twist, but we're going to do it with one leg in the air. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float that leg to hip height. To tabletop. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to take that leg out to the side, controlling that other leg, and then inhale to bring it back and down. So it's exhale to take that leg to tabletop, taking it out, controlling this leg and hip, inhale, bring it back to tabletop and down. So we really want to make sure that pelvis stays nice and level, and then bringing it back down. So it's exhale to take up, and then inhale to bring back in and down. You can use your fingertips just to give yourself a little bit of feedback. As you take that leg out, you shouldn't feel the opposite hip pop up. So it should be nice and controlled. It's not about your flexibility, it's about having that control through the movement. Making sure as well we keep the lower leg in line with the knee. So you don't want to be rolling that hip out. And what I mean by rolling that hip out is that you let the knee drop out instead of keeping the knee in line and coming out and then back in. So you want to think of your legs as sort of a windscreen wiper, and that you want that movement that a windscreen wiper would get from your hip rather than a rotation, which is what often happens. Okay, one more on each side. Okay, and relaxing back down. From here, we're going to go into a shoulder bridge. So if you get cramp in your hamstrings, which are these muscles here, you might want to just slide your feet a bit closer towards you. We're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to tuck that pelvis under, engaging your glute muscles, which are your butt muscles, peeling that pelvis off the floor, peeling each segment of your back off until you get that nice straight line from the shoulder, hip to knee. Breathe in at the top, exhale, and then rolling back down. So starting with the top of the back, then the mid back, lower back, and finally bringing that pelvis back into neutral. Breathe in, exhale, and then tucking that pelvis under, peeling each segment of your back bit by bit off the mat. Inhale, exhale, and then rolling back down. So starting with the top of the back, mid back, lower back. Remember to push evenly through both heels. This will allow the hips to come up nice and even, and then working your way back down again. Just remember to keep breathing. If you want to make this slightly harder, you can bring the arms up towards the ceiling. This will just create a little bit more instability for you. And then inhale to come back down. Really making sure we're flexing through that back, rolling up, peeling it off that mat, getting to the top, taking a breath in, and then exhale and rolling back down. So starting with the top, then the mid, lower, and finally bring that pelvis back into neutral. Just keep rolling up, nice and steady, and then inhale, exhale, and rolling back down. Again, pushing evenly through the heels, making sure that our knees don't fall out, so keeping them in line with your hips. And inhale and coming back down again. If you want to make this a little bit harder, just coming up to the top. You can keep the arms up or put them back down, and then you're just going to go into heel lifts. So you're going to lift one heel and put it back down, and lift the other heel and put it back down. If you want to carry on, you could go for 5 on each, keeping that pelvis nice and level, not letting it dip down. So often people will end up like this. We want you to keep it up, keep those glutes engaged, and keep moving through those feet. Nice and level. And then from there, breathing in, exhale, and then rolling back down again. Breathing in, exhale, and then coming back up again. And going for another set of 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Rolling back down. Remember, pushing evenly through those heels. The weight is distributed evenly. And breathing in, exhale, and working your way back up again. When you're doing the heel lifts, just remember to keep breathing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then rolling back down. So starting at the top of the back, mid back, lower back, and then bring that pelvis back into neutral. Okay, from there you might want to bring the knees in towards your chest, just easing them off. Okay, just relaxing one leg down and then the other leg down. From there, we're going to go into something called a one-leg circle. This is quite a difficult exercise to get perfectly right. It takes a lot of time to get that amount of control. So from there, you're going to breathe in to prepare. That's engaging the trans abs and pelvic floor. You're going to exhale and you're going to float one leg to tabletop. You're going to let this thigh sink into that hip joint so it gets nice and heavy. And this just stops you from overusing other muscles that might take over to compensate for your core. You're going to pretend you've got a laser beam pointing out the top of your knee. You're going to try and draw a circle with it on the ceiling. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to take that knee out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. So it's exhale to take the knee out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. Making sure that you're rotating through that hip joint. So you're just rolling that thigh out to make a circle, and then in to finish the circle off. Keeping that other leg nice and still. So use your hand, placing it on your hip and leg to make sure you keep that other leg nice and still. Make sure this leg doesn't come across your midline, otherwise that makes it a lot harder to control. Okay, from there, just change the direction. If you find it too difficult to do this length of time, then have a pause between each direction. There's nothing wrong with that. And then just keep that nice movement going. Trying to make sure you don't let that other leg wobble. So really keeping that pelvis nice and level. Keep it nice and smooth. Try and make the circles as round as possible. Couple more. Okay, breathing in and then out, relaxing that leg down. Breathing in and then out, bringing the other leg up. You're going to rotate that in the same direction. So keeping the circles nice and smooth and round. So it's exhale to go out. Inhale to come back in. Making sure we keep this leg nice and still. Keeping that pelvis nice and level. You will find one direction easier than the other. You'll also probably find one leg easier than the other as well. So as I said, you will probably get a little bit of movement to begin with, but this is one you can really work on and feel the progression every time you do it. So it's just being aware of your body. Try not to let the knee fall out. So when you look at your knee, you shouldn't be able to see your foot. That's it, keep it going. Nice and smooth circles. And then switching directions. So you exhale to take it out. Inhale to bring it back in. Keeping it nice and smooth. Think of that circle being drawn on the ceiling. Try not to go too fast. So some people have a habit of trying to use speed to make the exercise easier. Just let that thigh sink into that hip joint. Just let it roll through, keeping this pelvis nice and level. Couple more. Okay, breathing in and then out, relaxing back down. You might want to just give your thighs a little bit of a rub. You may have started feeling them a little bit through here. And then just relaxing there. So from here, we're going to come up to a sitting position. So if you roll onto your side to just come up to a sit position, you might want to grab a pillow or cushion. Just depends if you feel your seat bones or not. I tend to. If you have got a cushion like this, you probably want it lengthways because otherwise you might roll off the back of it with the exercise we're going to do. So from there, you're just going to sit on your mat or your cushion. Going to sit up nice and tall, have the knees bent with the feet still being hip width apart. Going to float those arms up to shoulder height, drawing those shoulder blades down and together. From there, you're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to roll the pelvis back. So you're rolling off your seat bones, and you're going to curl through that back. So you're going to make a nice C shape through your back. And then inhale to come back up. You come back up with the hips first, so your arms should be pointing down, and then you come up to a straight position. So I just shift this back a little bit. So from there, you're going to sit up nice and tall. You're going to roll off those seat bones. You're going to make that nice C shape through your back, reaching forward. Draw the shoulder blades down and together. Breathe in, exhale, and then coming back up. So you come up with the hips first, and then sit up to a nice position, straight position. So it's inhale, exhale, rolling back. Inhale at the bottom, and then exhale to come back up and straighten up. So exhale to roll back, keeping those feet flat on the ground, and then inhale to come back up and then straighten up. So this is really good for working the abdominals, but it also mobilizes through your spine. So inhale, exhale, and then coming back up. So keep going with a few of those. Just rolling back, nice and controlled. You don't have to go too far back, but you do have to keep it controlled. So often people will try and go as far as possible, but that isn't necessarily the best thing to do. So from there again, just rolling those hips back, reaching forward, drawing the shoulder blades down and together, and then inhale to come back up, and then come to a sitting upright position. Just inhale, exhale, roll back, making those nice C shape, and then inhale, exhale, coming back up and sitting nice and tall. So we're going to add an extra movement to this. So keep going with this movement. This time when you come back down, you won't be able to go as far. You're going to open up through that arm, following it with your head. Inhale to bring it back. Exhale to go to the other side, and then inhale to bring it back. And then coming back up, sitting up tall. So it's exhale to roll back. Inhale, exhale to go out. Inhale to bring it back. Exhale to go out to the other side. Inhale to bring it back. Making sure we keep those legs and knees nice and still. So rolling back. Inhale, exhale to open up. Inhale to bring it back. Exhale to open up. Inhale to bring it back. Inhale, exhale to come back up. Breathe in, exhale, and then rolling back. If you're finding it difficult on your arms, you can actually rotate through this way and just taking the arms out and then back and then coming back up to a sitting position. Okay, a couple more. So rolling back, breathe in, exhale, open up, inhale to bring back, and then open up to the other side, inhale to bring back, and then up. One more. So rolling back, making that nice C shape. Breathe in, exhale, opening up, inhale to bring it back. Exhale to open up, inhale to bring it back, and then coming back up to a sitting position, and then just relaxing there. Okay, so from there we're going to roll onto our side. So it doesn't matter which side you start with. You're going to bring the arm up above your head. You're going to rest your head on your arm. You can place a little pillow or towel between your arm and your head if that makes it more comfortable. You're going to have a 45-degree bend at the hip, 90 at the knees. You're going to make sure that those feet are directly below the hips. You're going to lengthen through that top hip, so you're lifting through that waist. You're going to float the lower legs off the floor. You're going to have the hand in front of you if you need help with balance, or placing it on your hip, which will give you some extra feedback as well. So you're going to breathe in, exhale, float that knee up, and then inhale to bring it back down. So exhale to float the knee up, inhale to bring it back down. you want to make sure that your hip doesn't roll back. So if you've got your hand on your hip and your hand stays nice and still, that means your hip is staying in the right place. You also want to make sure that your shoulder stays nice and still. So often, sometimes people will roll back through the shoulder. We want to keep that upper body nice and still. We want this hand to be nice and relaxed, not trying to brace yourself with that arm. If you do find it a little bit difficult to balance, make sure you've got the right bend at the hip, because this can make quite a big difference. So you're going to exhale as you squeeze that knee up. Inhale to bring it back down. So it's exhale to squeeze up. Inhale to bring it back down. You should start to feel it through this area, especially. Okay, from there, we're going to go into some knee taps. You're going to tap that knee down with the foot coming up, and then bring the feet together. So tap that knee down, bring the feet back together. So exhale to tap down, inhale to bring back up. Making sure we keep that gap between you and the mat. Keeping that going. You should start to feel it in this part. Okay, 2 more. Okay, from there you're going to keep the knee up and you're going to extend that leg. Inhale and then bring it back down. So it's exhale to take the knee up, extend that leg, inhale and bring it back down. Keep it going. Okay, 5 more. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and relaxing it back down. Just drawing that leg up, giving that leg a little bit of a rub. Okay, from there we are going to go into something called a side bend. We're going to start off with a basic side bend. We will progress onto a full side bend eventually, but we'll start off with the more basic one. Just getting used to the basic movement and the stretch, because sometimes we're a bit tight in our sides through our QLs, which is a muscle in our back, and this just helps to loosen it up, but it also helps to strengthen and mobilize through your shoulder joint as well. So you want the elbow just slightly in front of the shoulder, like I've got it here. You're gonna have 90-degree bend at the knees and 45 at the hips. You're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you come forward with the hips and push up. Take that arm over your head and reach for that wall to the side. Breathe in, exhale, and then bring it back down. So it's exhale to bring that arm up and over. Push the hips forward and up. Inhale and bring it back down. So you should feel a stretch through that top line. So this bit all the way through here. Take those hips as far up towards the ceiling as you can, and then inhale to come back down. So really make sure you've got a line from your knee, hip to shoulder. So there, there, and down to there. And bring that arm over, and then inhale to come back down. So it's exhale to bring up and over, and then inhale to bring down. Couple more. And one more. Okay, and relaxing back down. From there, I just want you to roll onto your front. So making sure that we're lying flat. We're going to make a diamond shape with our arms. Relaxing through the lower body. You're going to rest that forehead on the floor. We're going to go into a cobra. So this is going to stretch off through those abdominals and mobilize through your lower back. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float that head up towards the ceiling, looking up, peeling that chest off all the way down to your waist. Breathe in at the bottom, exhale, and then rolling back down. So starting with that stomach, then the rib cage, chest, and finally the head. Breathe in, exhale, floating that head up, peeling that chest off the floor, and then the rib cage all the way down to the waist, looking up towards the ceiling, and then inhale to roll back down. So this is a nice gentle stretching exercise, a bit more yoga-like than most of the Pilates exercises. If you find that too much, you can just come up to here and then come back down to roll back down. So it's exhale to bring that head up, peeling each segment of your back off. Remember to draw the shoulder blades down and together, and then inhale to roll back down again. And just keep going with those. Just gently relaxing into them. There shouldn't be any pain doing this, so if you are finding you're getting a bit of pain in your lower back, then just ease off and do those smaller swan dives, which are much lower. And just working through that upper part of your back instead. We're often quite tight through our upper backs due to the lives we live, being at our desks, especially if those of you that are still working from home as well. Hopefully you get to move around a little bit more than perhaps you do in the office. And hopefully you're all taking advantage of the fact that we're allowed out for a walk, run or cycle, as this is a really good way to get the fresh air and keep some sanity as well. And enjoy the countryside if you live in the countryside, or the park and the wildlife. Okay, couple more. This is taking it all the way up if you can. And then inhale to come all the way back down again. So it's exhale to go all the way up. And inhale to come all the way back down. Okay, 2 more of those. 1. And 2. Okay, and relaxing back down. Okay, from there, we're going to go into breaststroke. So you're going to rest your hands on your head on your hands even. You're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float the head and hands off the floor. Keep looking at your mat. You're then going to inhale to reach forward and round. Exhale to reach behind you, and then inhale to bring the arms back up and relax back down. So it's exhale to float the head and hands off the floor. Inhale to reach forward and round. Exhale to reach behind you. And then inhale to bring the arms back up and relax back down. So just keep going with this. So just remember, you're just going to squeeze those elbows off the floor. Keep looking at your mat so you keep that head and neck in a nice neutral position. Bring those arms round, reach behind you, and then inhale to bring them back up and relax back down. So again, keep looking at that mat as you float the head and shoulders off, head and arms off the floor, reaching forward. Inhale to reach behind, and then exhale, bring the arms back up and relax back down. So it's exhale, to float the head and hands off the floor. Inhale to reach forward and round. Exhale to reach behind, and then inhale to bring the arms back up and relax back down. Make sure when we're doing this that we keep the lower body nice and relaxed. So we shouldn't see the legs coming up off the floor. We shouldn't really see the glutes engaging. It should all be through the back and the core muscles that we want to be using in this exercise. So a couple more. And last one, so floating the head and hands off the floor, reach forward as you inhale and round, exhale to reach behind, and then inhale to bring those arms back up and relax back down. Okay, from here, just coming up onto all fours, or full point kneeling as we call it. You want to make sure that you've got knees underneath each hip, hand underneath each shoulder. Draw up through the abdominals, draw the shoulder blades down and together. And you want to make sure that you're flattish through the back. So if you find you're arching through the lower back, just gently tuck the tailbone in to flatten through the back slightly. We're going to go into something called swimming. So we're going to use the opposite arm to leg. And you want to make sure you keep that pelvis nice and level when you do this. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, so that's engaged the core muscles, that's the transabdominal pelvic floor. You're going to exhale and you're going to take the opposite leg to arm out, and then inhale to bring it back in. So it's exhale to take the opposite leg to arm out, and inhale to bring it back in. You want to make sure that pelvis stays nice and level. You also want to make sure that when you stretch that leg out, you don't let yourself dip through this part of your back. So quite often people will take the leg too high and it will cause them to drop through their midsection. And we really, really don't want this. You should have a nice straight line like this when you're doing it. And then from there, bringing it back and down. So it's exhale to take the leg and arm out, and then inhale to bring it back in. Make sure when you're doing this that when you return the knees back down, that you're making sure that they're hip width apart. You'll find if you get them too close together, you'll find it really difficult to balance, and you'll have to end up shifting your weight. So you shouldn't have to have much weight shift when you're doing this. It's just taking that arm, stretching that leg and arm out, and then bringing them back in. So exhale, inhale, take that arm out as you exhale, inhale to bring it back in. And just keep going with that. Let's do another 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, making sure we keep that pelvis level, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, relaxing back down. Okay, from here, I'm going to go on to a slightly more advanced move. So you might want to put a pillow underneath your knees just to have a bit more comfort, or even just a towel can do as well. So from here, just resting the knees on the thing, again hip width apart. You want to take the hands in front of your shoulders. The reason for this is that you don't want to face plant. You're going to tuck the toes under. Keeping the hips over the knees for the beginning of this. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float the knees off the floor. Breathe in, exhale, and then push forward with the hips into a plank position. Breathe in, exhale, and then push back, and then down. So it's exhale to float up, push forward with the hips, and then inhale to bring it back and down. So just continue doing that. So you're going to breathe in, exhale, float those knees up, and it's only a couple of inches off the floor. Push the hips forward so it's not straight in the legs. Bring them back and then down. So it's exhale to float up, push those hips forward to go into that plank position. Inhale to bring it back and down. Quite often people will come up and they'll go up into a V shape and then they'll come back down. What I want to see is that control of pushing forward, making that nice straight line from the shoulder, hip to ankle, and then pushing back and down. If you do go up into that position, it's not the end of the world. It's just not completely correct technique, but it's not going to cause you any damage. If, however, you come into here and you can't hold that position, you start dipping, that isn't so good. So I prefer the butt in the air rather than dipping, and then bring it back. Okay, 2 more. So floating up, push that hip forward, inhale to bring it back and down. So it's exhale to float up, push forward, inhale to bring it back and then down. Okay, from there, leave the arms where they are. You're just going to sit back, rest the forehead on the floor. Just take a moment to catch your breath, stretching off through those arms, just relaxing into that position. And just giving yourself a moment of clarity, just gently relaxing there. Okay, from there, just coming slowly up, we're going to swap sides. So the side we haven't done for the clams. So you're going to roll over. You're going to bring that arm up above your head. Rest your head on your arm. You want that 45-degree bend at the hip, 90 at the knees, making sure that those feet are directly below your hips. You're going to lengthen through that top hip, so you're lifting up through that waist. You're going to float the lower legs off the floor. You either have your hand in front of you for balance or onto your hip to help with some feedback. You're going to breathe in, exhale, float that knee up, and then inhale to bring it back down. So it's exhale to float that knee up, and then inhale to bring it back down. Again, just making sure that we don't roll that hip back, that you're keeping that upper body nice and still, that you're keeping that lower arm nice and relaxed. Just gently floating that knee up. And this exercise is working this area. Remember to keep that lift through that waist, so you should feel that gap through there. Couple more. Okay, from there into some knee taps, so tapping that knee down with the foot coming up, and then bringing the feet back together. So dropping that knee down, and bring the foot together. So exhale to drop the knee down, inhale to bring it back up. Exhale to drop down, inhale to bring back up. And just keep that going. Maintaining that gap. If you need to, having that hand on the floor or on your hip. Okay, couple more. Okay, from there, keeping that knee up, you're going to extend that leg. Bring it back and then down. So it's bring that knee up, extend that leg. Inhale to bring it back down. So it's exhale for up, and then inhale for back down. Okay, 5 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, keep it going, and 5. Okay, relax that leg back down. Just giving that thigh a little bit of a rub. You should have felt it a little bit through there. Okay, from here we're going to go into our side bend. So from there, you're going to come up onto your elbow. You're going to just have it slightly in front of the shoulder. You're going to keep that 45-degree bend at the hip and knee. You're going to breathe in to prepare. Exhale, and you're going to float that arm up, push the hips forward and up, and then inhale to bring it back down and relax. So it's exhale to come up, push the hips forward and up, reach over to that wall, and then inhale to bring it back down. So you're trying to take the hips up as much as possible, really stretching off through that side as well. It's going to mobilize and work through that shoulder that you're leaning on. Okay, couple more. And last one. And relaxing back down. Okay, from there you're going to roll back onto your back. We're going to go into a full hip twist. It's just a really nice one to finish on this one because it mobilizes through your back, but it also stretches through your spine as well. So you're going to bring both knees together and the feet together. You're going to bring those arms out to either side. You're going to breathe in to prepare. Exhale, and you're going to take both legs over to one side with one foot stacked on top of each other. And then turn the head to look the opposite way. Breathe in, exhale, and then bring it to the center. Breathe in, exhale, and then taking it over to the other side. Breathe in, exhale, bring it back to the center. And if you want to, you can hold it for a little bit longer. So just take a couple of extra breaths, keeping those shoulders on the floor, trying to really push that top hip over so you keep the knees together. Breathe in, exhale, bringing it back to the center. Breathe in, exhale, taking it over to the other side. Breathe in, exhale, bringing it back to the center. Okay, one more to each side. Bringing it back to the center and then over to the other side. Okay, from there just rolling onto your side. If you want to, you can access one of the other videos for the cool down, which is just basically some stretching and stuff like that. Thank you for tuning in, and I will hopefully see you again shortly with the next video.